As a high school math teacher, I always strive to make my classroom a vibrant and engaging space for my students. The walls were adorned with colourful posters and educational displays, creating an environment that fostered learning. One sunny afternoon last year, during the 5th period, I found myself using that time to catch up on grading assignments. Little did I know that this would be a day filled with unexpected events. About 15 minutes into the period, the school suddenly went into lockdown mode. Following the protocol, I quickly locked the classroom door, turned off the lights, and closed the blinds that were already shut due to the bright sunlight. However, I wasn't given any specific reason for the lockdown, leaving me puzzled about the situation. Concerned for the safety of everyone, I hoped that it was just a precautionary measure and that nothing serious had occurred. As we sat in silence, waiting for further instructions, the classroom remained calm and devoid of any unusual sounds or sights. But then, a movement caught my attention. Glancing towards the windows that stretched along the back wall of my classroom, I noticed a shadowy figure walking just outside. It struck me as odd because there was no designated pathway close to the building. The person's shadow indicated that it was a man, but I couldn't see his face or identify him clearly. Suddenly, it dawned on me that one of the windows in my classroom was slightly open. I'd left it that way earlier to enjoy the pleasant weather during the previous class. The window was located on the opposite corner of the room, far from where I sat. Should I risk revealing my position by attempting to close it? While contemplating my options, the man outside continued to move in the direction of the open window. I realized I wouldn't reach it in time before he arrived. Panic began to rise within me as I worried about what the man's intentions might be. To protect myself, I quickly decided to take cover. I ducked down and positioned myself under my desk, hidden from view unless someone ventured closer. The desk provided a partial barrier, shielding me from immediate sight. In the tense moments that followed, I tried to remain as still and quiet as possible, straining to hear any sounds indicating the intruder's actions. The man entered my classroom and remained near the back corner, opposite to where I hid. His presence filled me with fear and uncertainty. Time seemed to stretch as I listened attentively for any changes in his movements. Though I heard slight shuffling sounds, he didn't venture closer or change his position. Minutes turned into an agonizing eternity as I weighed my options, debating whether to attempt an escape or wait for help. Finally, a surge of determination overcame my fear, and I decided it was time to make a break for it. Before I could act, however, I heard the man start to move again. This time, he approached the door of my classroom. My heart sank, thinking I had missed my opportunity. Would he discover my presence and confront me? Incredibly, he unlocked the door and left it closed behind him. After a brief pause, I seized the moment, rushing to lock the door securely. Once the immediate danger had passed, I immediately contacted the principal to inform them about the intruder and the events that had transpired. Following their instructions, I remained in my classroom, keeping watch for any updates or developments. After about 10 nerve-wracking minutes, I received a phone call confirming that the situation was under control. They had located the suspicious individual who had been wandering around the campus, leading to the lockdown. Reflecting on the incident, I was both relieved and astonished that the man had gained access through the open window in my classroom. It served as a stark reminder to be vigilant and prioritize the security of the classroom and my students. From that day forward, I made sure to keep all the windows closed, ensuring the safety of everyone within the school's walls. My name is Mia, and this happened when I was in high school during my junior year. I had recently obtained my driver's license in the middle of the semester, and my parents had given me a car to drive. However, since I hadn't purchased a parking pass ahead of time, I had to park in the lower lot, which required a bit of a longer walk to school. To get to the main school parking lot, I had to walk down a path that passed by the baseball fields on one side and woods on the other. Then I would continue, passing the football field until I reached the main parking lots. I didn't mind the extra walk, because I was thrilled to be driving myself to school and no longer relying on the bus. One morning, as I arrived at school when the sun was just starting to rise, I noticed a man standing a few feet into the woods along the path. Initially, I thought he might be another student, but as I got closer, it became apparent that he was much older than high school age. I looked away to avoid any strange interaction and continued walking to school. After school that same day, as I headed back to my car parked in the lower lot, I spotted the man in the woods again. It struck me as odd, and I began to wonder who he was and why he was hanging around the school. For the next few days, everything seemed normal, and I didn't encounter the man. However, on another morning, while walking up the path, I heard footsteps behind me. When I turned to look, I saw a grown man walking about 50 feet back, his gaze fixed on the ground. Though I couldn't be certain, it seemed likely that he was the same man I had seen before. This pattern continued, with the man appearing near the school whenever I parked in the lower lot. On one occasion, as I was leaving school, I noticed him standing on the other side of the path, not by the woods this time. I hurriedly passed him and proceeded towards the parking lot. But when I reached my car, I heard footsteps behind me. Glancing back, I saw the man walking toward me, feeling uneasy. I quickly got into my car and drove off. The following day was the last time I saw the man. I arrived at school as usual, parked my car, and started walking up the trail towards the school building. Initially, I didn't spot the man, but as I continued walking, I heard his footsteps behind me once again. Increasing my pace, I reached the school parking lot, and to my alarm, the man was still trailing me. I hurried inside the building, finding solace in the safety of the school environment. However, about halfway through my first class of the day, the school suddenly went into lockdown. Initially unaware of the reason, it wasn't until the lockdown was lifted after approximately 30 minutes that we were informed about the cause. It was shocking to learn that a man had been found hiding in one of the women's restrooms inside the school. As it turned out, it was the restroom located right by my locker. Realizing that it was likely the same man I had encountered, I couldn't believe the extent of the situation. From that point on, I never saw the man again. The incident left me with a profound sense of unease. But I was relieved that the school had taken swift action to ensure everyone's safety.